Hi guys, this is TheEnder bringing you more games from the Sonic All-Star League. This is Group D. So we finished Group B, and Group D is going to be Free, Hero, Haya, and Larva. I'm not going to be able to cover all of the games from the group stage, but I am going to be able to bring you Group B and Group D, and hopefully I'll finish not too long after the finals, so you won't have to wait all that long to see, who actually wins. Alright, so set 1, Hero versus Free, and same maps as before, so this is going to be on Fighting Spirit. So we've got Hero as your Zerg player in the upper left position, and Free is your Protoss in the upper right position. So good luck to each of them. So as far as this group goes, since I'm a Jaedong fan, I was also an Oz fan, and because I'm an Oz fan, I'm rooting for Haya. But we'll see. It's a rough group. Pretty sure Bai Hero is considered to be one of the favorites. Alright, so Overlord coming out from Free. 9 drones already made. Lucky Scout from Free. Finds a Zerg, first opportunity. He has a pylon on the low ground, which usually indicates a regular Forge Fast Expand. Pool from... looks like an overpool from Bai Hero. Oh, that drone is getting low. Scouting probe being microed pretty well. He's probably not going to get it, but it's rather annoying when you're trying to mine. And the probe comes into getting some pot shots. And now we have the probe and drone dance over the hatchery. Of course, the probe wants to deny the hatchery as long as possible, and the drone wants to put it down as soon as possible. So it's kind of funny, a few games ago, back in Group B, we saw an attempt at a cannon rush, which failed pretty miserably. I don't think we're going to see one here, but it's always funny to see them try. So it looks like it's possibly Zerglings on the way, based on the fact that we got 3 eggs morphing at once. So if it is a full 6 Zerglings, it's probably going to force Free to make a second cannon back at his natural. And we have 2 lings. And although it looks like the drone is chasing the probe, it looks like it's just going to set up a third base, which is very standard in PvT. Alright, I need to change the game sounds. Coming in a little bit loud for me. Alright, there we go. Okay, so pretty normal start. From the Protoss we had Forge Nexus Cannon into Gateway. From the Zerg we had an Overpool. Neither one is particularly economically far ahead. Fast layer from the Zerg, which is expected. You gotta get out the Spire and the Scourge to chase away the Corsairs. Scouting probe still alive. It scouted the third base, which is nice. Won't have to go looking for that later. You'll be happy to see that there's no Hydra Den, so it doesn't have to make extra cannons or expect a Hydra bust. Looks like there's an Overlord and a Zergling outside the Protoss natural. Just making sure nothing walks across the map. Make sure there's no extra scouting probes. So, we're in the semi-boring part of the game, just waiting for each player to get up enough units to do something with it. But both players are playing very standard, so it could be a while. So it looks like there's actually some extra Zerglings that were made at the third base for Hero, and I'm not sure what he's doing with them. If he's looking for another scout in the middle of the map, or if he's trying to hide them. Perhaps he was expecting a zealot to come across and attack the third, and he was hoping to intercept that. Alright, the initial scouting worker's been taken down, and the fourth hatch has been placed by Hero. We've got a fast Citadel and no Stargate from Free. So it looks like he's going for a +1. Oh, and I think the Forge just stopped spinning, so the Zealots probably do have their +1 attack. So they're going to have +1 attack, they're going to have speed. Yes, alright, you can see they already have speed. And there's 2 gateways rather than 1, so he's going to be able to do something with this, if he wants to. There's no Sunkens up at either the third or the natural. So either we're going to need additional Lings, or start making Sunkens really fast. Okay, what's going on? Why? He doesn't have his +1. Was I crazy when I saw the Forge spinning, or was that was cancelled? I don't know. Alright, but here we have 6 Zealots pushing out. Actually, it doesn't even look like they have speed. Chances are speed will finish right when they get to the base. But yeah, the Zerglings are completely on the wrong side of the map. They're gonna... Alright, fast Mutas. That's gonna help them. But yeah, those Sunkens are gonna go down, drones are gonna go down, the Zealots are getting into the main. Of course it takes, 3 Zealot shots to kill a drone. So if you get 3 of them, you can one-shot drones, just focus them down. Instead, they're gonna focus on the Spire, which... Well, okay, so they chose not to focus on the Spire to fight the Zerglings. That was probably the wrong choice. And there's more at the third base. They do have their speed by now, but they're not going to get anything done with the 2 Sunkens there, and they're just attacking the Sunkens. So the main problem for Free now is he doesn't have a Stargate, so he's got a couple cannons in each base, but I don't think they're going to be able to take on the Mutalisk. Yeah, so you see a little bit of micro there. Here was pulling out the damaged Mutalisk, and so even though we've had very few of them, they're just going to... They have complete control over the base. So because we have the Templar Archives, what Free can do is make 2 Templar, and rather than getting Storm, he just turns them into an Archon, and of course an Archon individually will be able to take on... literally about 10 Mutalisks just by itself. That's because it has a ton of splash damage. If it has +1 attack, it can kill Mutalisks in 4 hits, and, if they're clumped up... Oh, there we go. If they're clumped up, all of them get hit at once. So, alright, the Archon chases off the Mutas. They can still be annoying over the natural, because they got the high ground, so they can hide from the cannons and fly in, one-shot a worker, and fly out. Actually, it looks like he might only have 4. 4 isn't enough to one-shot workers. Oh, so Free has a Dark Archon, or Darkon, if you like to abbreviate. Really fun. You get a Dark Archon if you're fighting Mutalisk, you cast Maelstrom, and it will freeze biological units for something like 10 or 15 seconds. And unlike Stasis... Oh, there we go. Boom. Gotcha. But it freezes them, but you can still attack them, unlike Stasis, so it's really nice. And then, even when they come unstuck, they have to accelerate to get away. So, one of those Dark Archon, the Dark Archon literally just paid for itself right there. So lucky for Hero, he did not overmake Mutalisk. He only made like 4 or 5 that entire time. So he killed some cannons. He annoyed the workers, did some harassment, and he got his his third base up safely, and now it's sunken well. So he's in a pretty decent spot still. So going forward, the Dark Archon is gonna... Oh, now that's annoying. So, as you can see, there's a burrowed Zergling where Free wants to take his third base, and because he doesn't even have a robo, there's nothing to detect that. Free is going to have to actually wait till the pylon finishes. When the pylon finishes, he's going to have to make a cannon, and then when the cannon finishes, he'll be able to kill that Zergling. That's a really good play by Hero. It's really going to be annoying. Okay, so Hero remade Mutalisk, even though the Dark Archon's still on the field. That's a very questionable decision. I do like how he's got these Zerglings burrowed, in random places so that he gets scouting and it's, more or less undetectable. But these Mutalisks, they got to be super, super careful. But with the Archon at the third base, it's free pickings on the probes. And if they don't stay too long, the Dark Archon can't get them. Okay, so cannon completed at the third. It detected the Ling. Ling is dead, and Nexus is going down. Where is that Dark Archon? We know it's... Oh, there. Okay, there it is. Just waiting for it. So 3 hatcheries going down to the 4th base for Hero. So he, I guess he intends to play a macro-focused game. He's got a pretty good start. He's got the burrowed Zerglings for the map vision. He's really slowed down Free's third base. And he's actually pretty decently protected. I mean, 4 Sunkens right there at the third base. So Free's trying to get fancy, micro the Zealots so that they'll beat the Lings, but of course the Mutas come back and the Zealots have to run away. And they'll still die, but at least they know where the Mutalisks are and they'll keep them away from the main while Free builds up more men. So normally, Zerg versus Protoss, it's more focused on, Hydralisks. But Mutaling can work quite well. I mean, of course, Zerglings are one of the most cost-effective units in the game, and have one of the highest DPSs. That's a lot of Mutalisks. Man, I really don't like this idea going for this many Mutalisks, though, versus a Dark Archon. So by now, it's definitely got the 100 energy it needs from Maelstrom. And even if it doesn't catch all of them, I mean, that's very dangerous. I mean, having an army that'll evaporate like that. But we'll see. So we got 2 control groups of Speedlings. So that's at least 11... Oh, there's a Storm. So, of course, without Maelstrom, the Mutalisks are just going to run right away. Oh, there we go. So, the Mutalisks get caught, and 1 Storm, and they all die. Great job. That's more or less what I expected to happen. But it was sort of funny when the Mutalisks actually got Maelstromed and there was a High Templar under them. And so it's like, oh, you're going to storm your own Templar? But apparently the Templar survived. Got moved out at just the right time. Alright, so Mutalisks are all gone. But we've got... Actually got 5 Sunkens and a lot of Lings. And there's not much anti-Ling with that army. It's I mean, there's 1 Archon, some Zealots. So the problem is Dragoons really just don't do well against Zerglings. I mean, it takes 4 shots and they attack so slowly. And just due to damage types, Goons are pretty bad against the Lings. So yeah, I mean, they can pick off that frontal hatchery almost for free. But they're not going to get too much more done. So I like the idea of this Zergling counterattack. However, the SimCity from Free is really, really nice, and it's really just letting the Zealots 1v1 versus Zerglings. Wow, we have a very fast Hive and a very fast Ultralisk Cavern. So commonly the late game composition versus Protoss is Ultralisks and Defilers and Zerglings versus Protoss. And then a Protoss will counter with, Zealots and Archons. And so the reason you go with these compositions is Defilers are just so deadly. And so they cast, Dark Swarm, and all of a sudden ranged attacks don't do any damage. So the Goons are, approaching worthless. So instead you go with Zealots, which are melee and aren't affected, and the Archons, which have splash damage. And of course, to counter those, you use Ultralisks and Zerglings. So yeah, so Hero's getting to his late game composition pretty quickly. And Free is, you know, he's trying a little bit of everything. He's actually doing a pretty good job countering exactly what the Zerg has. So we've got 7 more Mutalisks, which of course the Dark Archon got sniped, so they're not going to get Maelstrommed instantly like they did last time. But it's still a very questionable decision. I mean, it didn't work the first 2 times. You really think it's going to work in? Alright, so Free is taking a pretty greedy 4th base. And what? Oh, we have a Cocoon. So, I didn't see it, but there was a Greater Spire from By Hero. And he's got a ton of Mutalisks, man. So those Guardians are going to be really annoying, since I still don't think there's a Stargate out. And that's probably why By Hero's going for it. Ooh, 4 DT drop. Man, those things are going to have so much killing power. I bet they'll snipe the Greater Spire first. Mainly because that's a really expensive building, and it's got really low HP. Let's see. So, they decided to not kill the Sunken. And they're just going for drones, chasing the drones. Oh, come on. Silly Templar. That was a nice split of the Guardians, though, by Hero. Oh, and he's losing everything in the main to the Mutalisks. Yeah, you just really gotta have a Stargate. You gotta keep a Dark Archon in your main the entire game. So you can take out Guardians with 2 storms, but as you saw, Hero's doing a really nice job splitting it up so each storm would only hit like 1 Guardian at a time, and then that's really not what you want to do, you know, wasting 2 storms on each Guardian and you could have half a dozen Guardians. So Hero's playing a really cost-effective game, going for all these Lings, spending all his gas on the Mutalisks, you know, occasionally on the Guardians. Alright, and GG is called, so Hero wins. So that was a really good game by Hero, and you know, both players actually did a pretty good job trying to counter what the other person did. Hero was a little bit stubborn and going Mutalisks, and you know, the first time and the second time he just got him slaughtered because of that. But you know, if at first you don't succeed, try again. If you don't succeed again, maybe you should try some Guardians. Yeah, that's not right, but it worked for Hero. So